Welcome to the SPE Podcast, powered by the Society of Petroleum Engineers. You're listening to SPE Live, accelerating the value of women talent in oil and gas. The audio from this episode was previously recorded on February 8th, 2023. And now your moderator, SPE Virtual Programs Development Manager, Natalie Famayetti.
Hello, and welcome to this SPE Live on accelerating the value with women talent in oil and gas. My name is Natalie Famayetti. I am the SPE Virtual Programs Development Manager, and I will be your moderator today. Today's SPE Live will last 30 minutes, and we encourage you to ask questions during the program. It is now my pleasure to introduce our guests. Carol Piovesan specializes in oil and gas technology and its application to the topside equipment offshore and onshore. Mrs. Piovesan currently serves as membership chair in the Data Science and Engineering Analytics Technical Section, where she has spent over 15 years as a volunteer. Mrs. Piovesan has published over 15 papers, 10 articles, and contributed to columns for the SPE's Journal of Petroleum Technology magazine. Our next guest, Sushma Bhan, accomplished global data leader with 3 decades of experience in leading enterprise data projects. She's currently non-executive board member of Icon Science and former chief data officer at Shell for subsurface and wells. Mrs. Bhan is the current chair of SPE's Data Science and Engineering Analytics Technical Section and advisor on Rice University Professional Sciences Masters Board. Sushma, Carol, welcome to this SPE Live.
Thank you, Natalie.
So let's start this conversation with a question for Sushma. Sushma, can you share your views on the areas in the oil and gas industry that women can find more opportunities? And also, would you please share your personal experience about certain challenges faced while paving your career path?
Sure. Thanks, Natalie. This is a good question. I would say, firstly, that the whole area of data science and engineering analytics, it's growing tremendously all across oil and gas sector, but also any business, any project you see, DSCA is like a common glue that connects, end to end the value chain. So if I look from the oil and gas sector, explorations to wells development, all the way to abandonment and sustainability, you can see that there's a huge thrust on data and digital, and this data science area provides great opportunities. So, the key thing is you have to have the right skill sets, experiences, build your know-how so you can step up in these areas. I see almost every project in the business has some element of digitalization or elements of, DSCA, the analytics and data being used. Because if you look at the tech sector, it very commonly is talking about AI and automation. So the opportunities are tremendous. So women or anybody from any denomination of diversity can join opportunities that are in the area of, project management in that area. It's about becoming technical and, providing development of software, there are architectural elements. You can get into more management roles, executive roles and general manager and CDO kind of roles. You have to mix your technical acumen and the business acumen together. Needless to say, you need to have a good understanding of the business domain and the skill sets you bring from data science. The other thing women or anybody can look at, what is the strategic thrust at the moment. So we can see that there's a huge upsurge of focus on the low carbon footprint. There are opportunities about, automation, AI being used in projects. And just in general, you can see that, the cost optimization, increasing production, these are the key strategic areas. We've also looked at the feedback from our SPE members, so look for the growth opportunities and again, see where you can complement your existing skills, but also learn additional that will help you step up. But if you look in the job sector, there are tremendous opportunities available. If I think about the challenges, again, let me speak from the general, what were the challenges that we mostly saw? So first and foremost, women, depending on what point of stage they are in their life, if they're early joining with young children, or they have their personal life aspirations, they have to see that they get the support. They can think about work-life balance. They have a family member helping them. They have the right management, support for the kind of changes that might be going in their personal life. So that is very key. And I can speak for myself. When I was young and I had 2 children, I had tremendous support from my husband and my parents, so I could raise my children and still do the travel and the necessary things that I needed. Secondly, it is about, getting the opportunities. There might be limited opportunities, but you can, get those opportunities if you have the credibility. You build the trust with your colleagues, with your management, and you step up to take those opportunities. It's a little bit of courage, but like I said, as the whole sector is changing, there are tremendous opportunities. So they could have been limited opportunities in the past, but they are there. So you have to just pick them up. The third challenge I found was, even though every company has equal opportunity and huge focus on D&I, and it is kind of part of every company's, fabric and their strategy, we find that there might be accountability that might be amiss in the middle management. So that again goes to, stepping up to change the mindset. They can understand, what you can do. I remember when I was very young, I had joined Shell, of course, in 88, and I had a child. My manager didn't know I would come back to work. And needless to say, several of my, women colleagues did not come back, when they were having children. But I had the, help of my parents and my spouse. So I did. I took my 6 weeks of maternity leave and came back. But needless to say, those are the challenges, and if that is an issue, you have to find, you can have that conversation. You can find organizational elements to support you, be open and honest about those things and work that. But that could be one. The fourth one could be about development, right? You come with certain skill sets, you're a reservoir engineer or geologist, and you may not have, let's say, the data science area. So you have to see, have you developed them? What are the areas you need to grow? I remember when I started my career, with certain areas, this was in programming. And so you had, let's say, assembler and Fortran to start with, and then you move to object-oriented and Java and C++ and so forth. So you have to keep seeing how do you grow yourself. So I took some classes in the night school and wanted to get much better at it, though even I had some training from Shell. So you have to keep developing, you have to sharpen your saw and see, whether you go to school back, you go to college, you do online, I even went to school and got my MBA while my kids were young. So that personal development to make you successful for what you are being asked to do or kind of aspirations you have is very key, So define your success and go for it. And lastly is if things don't work out, it's not the right role, right organization, right company, I would say have the courage to change. You could change within your company, navigate, or you can opt for going outside and doing something different.
Oh, Sushma, thank you so much for your feedback and your insights. Family support is very important. I agree with you. And looking for those mentors is also a great suggestion for the professionals. So, Carol, I would like to continue with you with the next question. What does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you personally? And can you share your personal experiences in this regard?
Sure, thank you. So for me, it's about respecting each other and embracing our differences, and doing that with courage and intelligence to work together and achieve great things, whether they're small or large. we work in a global industry that has many beautiful cultures. I've learned a lot just hearing the stories of everyone. People bring their stories. People are their stories. We need to learn more about each other. For example, I attended a conference, a women's conference. It was an international networking conference in Switzerland. And there was a woman there, and she was a speaker, very dynamic, lovely woman. She came from Egypt, and her father had passed their business, their family cotton business, to her and her brother. And she was identified as the person to mediate all conflict within her family's business. And this meant conflicting religions and backgrounds, and yet she had to mediate this for everyone to have a successful business. These are the things that we can bring to the table as being diverse and include each other. Another one was a woman from India, the northern part of India, where she had to really work with what she had considered a fear from the men in her village to bring the women's standard of living up. And to do that, that was to create cashmere shawls and sell them. And there was a lot of pushback. And her story was so inspiring. She went and embraced the trust from the captain of the army in the village and got his support to help the women increase their lives. And so they both learned to take the fear out of their situations. And I think that's what we need to do as women, is take the fear out of our situations, have the courage, bring your personal intelligence to the parties, and merit your position. A lot of women have a lot of merit and need to lean in to these opportunities in their lives and lead in your feminine way. That there's a lot of beauty in that, and I've learned that along the way.
Those are incredible stories, Carol. Thank you for sharing that with us. At this moment, I would like to remind our audience to submit your questions. Carol and Sushma are here to answer your questions. If you're watching this episode from Energy Stream, then check the chat box at the bottom of your screen. And if you're watching this episode from LinkedIn, then submit your questions via the comments tab on the right. Then I would like to continue with my third question, and this is for both of you, Sushma and Carol. Let's start with Sushma. In your opinion, what are the personal practices that have made you successful? Can you share your personal journey and experiences?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, Natalie, that over my career journey, there were a lot of different things that I had to embrace. So firstly, when I started my career, I was very much in technical roles. So it was very key for me to stay current with state-of-art technology. Even though like we had started, for example, a project in Shell, which was on some key information or new coding language. I did supplement some of that additional knowledge by, say, going to a night school and making sure that I could, get much better at it. I was also very quick at learning and changing as needed. So I'll give you an example. When I first started, we were working with, initial coding like Fortran and assembler. And very soon we started moving to object-oriented area. We started moving to Java and C++. So it was very pertinent that, understand what is the current needs and change for that. And then in my mid-career, I found that I wanted to move, for example, to the business roles. And I took it upon myself to take leadership classes, and I joined MBA. So even though I had 2 young kids, I said that is something that's going to give me additional lever. So getting that additional insights and, confidence to go forward, that'll help me, was kind of the thing. The other thing I personally did was I knew the area of, data sciences, the information technology was very dynamic. We went through a lot of, cyclical changes. Like there was a whole information development area that got outsourced, for example, to India. But there were certain high-tech things that were retained in the company. So it was very key for me to understand those changes. So you have to have an eye and keep a look at what are the strategic changes your company is going through, what is the demand, what are the areas that are of growth, like I spoke in the beginning, like carbon footprint, and those areas are very key. So you might want to just step up and think about, where do you want to change, and be ready for that. As Carol also said, you have to have the courage. You have to start picking those knowledge areas. And again, there are a lot of people who would be willing to help you. In my company, I found that if you reached out to experts and, discussed and learned from that, it really helped you gain the insights. So not being afraid and, going out, reaching out and learning things, that was very important. The other thing was, stepping up to take roles that were never, for example, taken by women. And I was in many teams where I was the first one, but you are there because you have delivered on the goals. You're prompt, you're diligent about it, because those are the things that really build your credibility and reputation. So you have to be there because you can excel, you can deliver, and you can exceed the expectations. And it does take a lot of planning and rigor, but definitely that is what vouches for you. The merit and the credibility, that the foundation you build, you can stand on it. So for me, that was very key. I could see that one of the very exciting roles I had in my career was leading the global wells, reservoirs, and facility management program for data. And in Shell, that's a huge program that accelerates production from the existing assets. And one of the big problems there was about data accessibility and so forth. So I was one of the key persons who stepped in that and established a practice that was replicated across the globe, worked with people from several countries, more than 20 countries. But it was that step-by-step, putting in practice, like the project management skills I had learned. But if I had been, afraid, or if I was just not able to step up and take that opportunity, I would have missed a lot out. So really it is your mindset, it's working with the people, it's developing and going forward, keeping that sharp, your saw always sharp and ready. And again, be willing to change as need be.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Sushma. Take every opportunity you can. Don't be afraid. Because you can do it. So thank you so much for your insight. Carol, would you like to follow up?
Sure. The thing that I think I've always lived by is one rule, and that is honesty, integrity, and fairness. And I think that's really helped me along the way to live by those rules and be humble about it. People appreciate being humble. I don't know everything. I started my career as the only woman in the room at the meetings, and a long time as that, and still today, sometimes I'm the only woman in the meeting, and that's okay. I accept that, and I appreciate that, because everybody brings a lot of intelligence to the meeting, and I wouldn't be in those meetings if I wasn't bringing something to them. So it's being humble. I believe this is a personal rule that I've lived by. I think people respect me, and my colleagues respect me for that. And especially when the world isn't always fair, and it's just that way, but you keep going. I always try to keep an open mind. The world is judgmental, but you keep leading with a soft touch, be curious, have humor. I now mentor 2 men and 2 women. When I started my career, very few people were mentoring. And I always was told that you should have 5 mentors in your career. And now I have the opportunity to be one for somebody else. And I appreciate that I have 2 men that I mentor. So I think I've come a long way. It's never easy to balance it all. You do your best. You do what you can. And I think you compartmentalize what's important. You prioritize what's important. and you will make it. You just get up every day. And as we say in Texas, you put your boots on and you keep walking.
Thank you, Carol, for your insights. I like that. Keep an open mind. And work is not going to be fair all the time. You just keep on going and do your best. I mean, those are great insights and feedback from both of you. We're getting great questions from the audience. But let's continue with the third question. This is for both of you. So both of you have been in the data science arena and were earlier in DE technical section and now on the data science and engineering analytics technical section board. Can you share your outlook on future perception of the industry with data science as the key enabler? Do you see this as a key accelerator for gender diversity in the oil and gas industry? Sushma, let's start with you, please.
Yeah, absolutely, Natalie. This is one area, like I mentioned earlier, that is rapidly growing. And I see data science and analytics like as a common glue that goes across all the disciplines, all the business sectors. And one of the things that, is neat about this area is where you could have, young women with children having challenges about, like, let's say, going on to the rig or some difficult countries. Many of these jobs can be easily done in the office, or you can do it through virtual. So there are tremendous opportunities that you can step up to and do it with a lot more ease, the timing being right and so forth. But needless to say, it is such a key area that needs to be embraced by everyone, irrespective of gender, race, or any kind of denomination, because that is kind of the key mantra across, all companies you see. Digitalization and data science is a key lever to accelerate the business results. It has to bring cost optimization and, use the right resources. We hear about tech companies talking about AI all through. So I think it's very pertinent that whether it's men or women, they start understanding and learning about this area. There are opportunities not only within the realm of your job, or if you want to look out for jobs, but also if you want to learn, you're a student and you want to volunteer. So we have, for example, a lot of datathons happening. You can join and you can learn and equip yourself with some of the experiences. You can reach out to other people. So that is another key area. I would put a pitch in for Society of Petroleum Engineers. That's a key platform for those of us who are within the oil and gas sector or even outside to come and join that forum, to learn, to nurture yourself, to understand what are the dynamics of the business. It's a great platform to build your various skills, including, your leadership and communications and other areas. So, and we have a strong technical section, DSCATS. And if you would look on that, we have several women and men from various countries, various experiences. So again, I would say, be willing to join, raise your hand and expand. I would just say, you also have to find people who encourage you, whether it's your managers or mentors. I was very lucky that I met Carol, for example, at ATCE, and she asked me, hey, would you join the DEETS board, which was Digital Energy Technical Section, and then the past two technical section directors, Birol Dindurak and Silviu, they were very encouraging. So it's up to you to step up and take these opportunities. They might be a little bit of extra personal effort because in addition to your job, you're doing something, but again, it enhances your skills. But overall, if you look at the data science arena, it's just expanding everywhere. And if you're equipped with the right skills, you can also change your your business sectors. I recently know somebody who was working in an oil and gas service company, and she has joined Walmart. So you can take those learnings from a different sector, different consulting company, and come. So that cross-pollination of insights, ideas, and knowledge is a lot more doable in DSCA area than anywhere else. But definitely, you have to pick up the discipline, knowledge, and insights. So I'll leave it at that and let Carol add more.
Thank you, Sushma. Carol, would you like to follow up?
Sure, thank you. So I started in technology in my career, and then it came into oil and gas. So to me, these two industry sectors are the largest in the world and the most exciting. This is a really exciting time to be in technology and in oil and gas. There's an abundance of opportunities. I think you just really have to decide what part you want to be in. We go through ups and downs. There's no crystal ball. Be prepared to change with these ups and downs. I've seen things come full circle. I've had to be patient. I brought technology in 8 years ago to certain operations, and it's just now getting adopted. So you have to continue to lean in and push, write papers, be your own star, and sell yourself to the people around you. I think that's networking and talking, coaching. Be adaptable, be coachable, and keep learning.
Thank you, Carol, Sushma, for your insights. Let's take a question from the audience. So, hello, everyone. How to balance personal life and professional life? So this question is coming from LinkedIn.
Okay.
Sushma?
Yeah, so I can go first. It's really up to you how you do that. What I did personally for myself when I had young children was I would integrate my both personal and professional calendar. So I knew, what was critical for me. Like, for example, I had to take my child for vaccination or, something, and I would plan for it. So really the key there is planning ahead, understanding, what are your personal needs for your family and, what are your professional commitments. And you have to be very honest and upfront about it. If it's something that cannot be handled and it sort of impedes your professional, needs, you have to work that with your management or with your team. So I'll give you an example. I was always leading this wells, reservoirs, and facility management common interest network, which had members from all the 20 countries. But unfortunately, I had a death in the family and I had to fly to India. So, I made that clear to my colleague, and she was able to keep running the show. And when I was back in India, I could still, when things were okay, connect back. Or there's something very important, and then you need support from your, family member or friends. So I think the key to that for me had been looking ahead, planning, using your calendar well, and then working it out. It's all doable.
Thank you, Sushma. Carol, do you have any suggestion for our audience?
Oh, Sushma hit a lot of points. It's organizational skills and priorities. And like she said, planning ahead. It's everybody, whether you're a man, woman, or whatever, old or young, you have to figure out how to do all that and balance it all. So it's everybody's problem.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. So let's take another question from the audience. Why do women need to prove themselves more than men? And this is coming from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Who would like to take this question?
I don't think women have to prove themselves more than men. I went to an all-girls school, and the studies at that time said men tend to raise their hands to answer a question faster than women. And so they tend to be chosen by the teachers to answer the question. So raise your hand faster. Is that the answer? It's not that you have to prove yourself. It's just making it work for you.
Yeah, I would add to that is, again, it's not about proving yourself to others. It's like, being competent for what you're being asked for. And you have to do that with confidence. You have to step up. Needless to say, there are always biases. There might be jobs which have not been done, before. I remember early in my career when I first time went to my manager and said, hey, I'm expecting my first child. He believed I would not come back to work. And I had to tell him and convince him, no, I am. And, the only time I took off was my 6 weeks of maternity leave. So I think you have to work with the system. They are people you'll deal with. They're difficult mindset. But again, it's up to you to educate them, work with them, use your organizational lever if you have to. But it's like anybody else, where there are challenges and they may not be seeing the whole picture. So it's for you to, bring that to light and show it by what you can deliver and do.
Thank you, Sushma and Carol. We're getting close to finishing this SPE Live, but before that, Sushma and Carol, can you please, or what is your message for women and young aspiring professionals entering the energy field in, let's say, 3 words? For example, mentoring, take any opportunity you want, get support from your family, things like that. So can you give us some suggestions?
Well, I mean, I could rant off a lot of things, but I think the first and foremost thing is, believe in yourself, have that confidence with the right knowledge. Number 2 is you have to be reliable. When people are asking for something, be committed, deliver. That sort of builds your credibility. If people see, you take on something and can do it, and you can do it better than anybody else, you're naturally going to be asked again. So you can do that. The third thing I quickly want to say is differentiate yourself. And that could be, specialize yourself in area. We learn a lot of things. I, for example, specialize myself in the data arena. I joined SPE. So you build that so people see, what is that you bring to the table. You might know a lot of things. I think those are the quick 3 things I would say.
Thank you, Sushma. Carol?
Have fun. Don't be afraid to change. Stay courageous and lead with grace.
Those are great suggestions to our audience. Thank you so much, Carol, Sushma. And to our audience, if you want to learn more about these topics, I invite you to attend the webinar that is already available on demand. And also keep an eye on the upcoming Get to Know series on women in energy, which will be rolling out in March. So thank you so much, everybody, once again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the SPE Live Podcast. For more content, visit the SPE Energy Stream, the industry's digital pulse, at streaming.spe.org. If you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to subscribe and review. Join us next time on the SPE Live Podcast.